First, to begin with, I'd like to thank the Commission's support for DATV and urge you to continue that support. It's very important for free speech to have a vehicle for people to voice their opinions on the media. And I'd like to begin with, the tragicness of having 45 homicides in the city of Dayton. Directly leads into what I came here to talk about, sort of. Homicides, the rate of homicides is directly linked to the rate of unemployment and poverty in our city and in our country. When unemployment usually goes up, the murder rate goes up. And to have one murder is outrageous. To have 45, and most of those, I think, have been in the city of Dayton, reflect our economic disaster that is our society and our city, and needs to become more and more in focus here within the city and within the county of how do we deal with and how do we change. What I came here to talk about is the situation with Occupy Dayton. Occupy Wall Street and Occupy Dayton is a breath of fresh air to our society. For so long, what we've gotten from politicians and from the media is talk about the economic hardship and no action. And what happened with Occupy Wall Street is finally some group of people decided to stand up and take a stand and put their bodies online, even though that meant risking arrest. And thus far, hundreds of communities across the country have engaged in Occupy movements. And we were fortunate that a group of people here at Dayton did that and sort of took up the torch of social change. It is reflecting of everything from the suffragette movement and the civil rights movement and the peace movement. Not for 40 years have we seen people willing to take on our society as they have taken it on now. Unfortunately, some cities have taken a very harsh policy towards Occupy movement. People have been abused by the police, severely abused. Over 5,000 people have been arrested. And in most cases, it's been because those people have chosen to be arrested. Here in Dayton, the people were avoiding arrest, and unfortunately, the city government has taken a hard position on this. I believe the people that were arrested here in Dayton should have been asked to leave, and those people would have left without arrest occurring. The fact that charges have been adding on and the people arrested are facing up to $1,000 in fines and I don't know what jail time.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Okay, I would ask for an extension of a few minutes.
Now, Mr. Logan, if you'd like to speak to Chief Hess, he can give you some information because I think some of your information is inaccurate.
Mr. Logan, your time is up, though. You have to leave.
Mr. Hess, raise your hand.
I will leave. Thank you. I'll talk to you all later.
I also just want to point out for our viewers and people watching at home that while I agree with a lot of Mr. Logan's politics, his facts are dramatically inaccurate on the crime numbers in Dayton this year, and also with the assumption that poverty increase equals crime and murder increase. And in Dayton, that's just not been the case. Poverty, unfortunately, has increased in our community because of some of the policies that the state and national government have done as far as and our economy in general with the loss of manufacturing jobs, while we've seen our crime rate dramatically reduce. And so as those two things happen, that completely disproves Mr. Martinez's assumption on crime and poverty being linked. And then we could talk more about the Occupy Dayton movement. I think we had a good relationship, and we continue to have a good relationship with the Occupy Dayton movement. And while I appreciate Mr. Martinez's interest and work that he does in the community, sometimes drastic oversimplification can be dangerous to decisions.
I'd like to echo, too, if I could. Mm-hmm. Commissioner, when our city was at its biggest and most prosperous in the 60s and 70s, our homicide rate was way, way higher than it is now. And it's a tribute to over 100 murders annually. And now it's only a fraction of that, and it's a tribute to a number of factors, including the hard work of our police and the neighborhoods, the folks that have really stepped up and paid more attention, gotten involved, and to make the generalization that there are more murders in Dayton because it's poor. Boy, I really hate that. And I'm glad, Commissioner, you stepped up to refute that. It's just not the fact. We're a much safer place than we were when we were a prosperous city, and that's thanks to our neighbors and our police.
So not to pile on, but I am going to pile on a little bit. I just want to say, you are too, Hager. I think Mr. Martinez's larger point was around Occupy Dayton, and we understand and respect that, but I have to speak a little bit to the homicide number you threw out, as the other commissioners did also. I think you threw out a number of 45. The reality is, year to date, today, we're at 35, and that's 35 more than we want or expect. But we are much fewer than what you talked about, and there's been a general trend down. Unfortunately, we are one up over last year. This time last year we were at 34. This year we're at 35. But if you look at longitudinally a trend, you will see that we are showing a reduction in homicide. And as Commissioner Joseph just said, just through the hard work of our police department, neighborhoods, and specific programs that we have in this community, it's directly related to homicide. So I just want to make sure we correct that number.
And I just wanted to make sure, in terms of what I thought I heard from Logan Martinez was the folks that were arrested and the options for potentially getting them out of jail. Want to explore some of those options if we in fact can, as well as I don't know about these fines being, but I heard him say about $1,000. So assuming that we in fact could offer some leniency on some of that, I'd be supportive of that.
It's also my understanding that they were politely asked to leave, and they politely refused, and so they were politely arrested. So that's my understanding. Anyway, Mr. Reardon, do you have any closing comments?
I have none, Your Honor.